Title: I've made a huge mistake, please don't abandon me. My husband has started the process for a divorce and refuses to speak with me. I don't even know if there is any way to fix this or if it's even possible. He said he would come to talk to me for the past 3 days, but he hasn't shown up. Hi everybody. We'll be back with another story, but here's an update. Yesterday, I told the story of a man who discovered his wife was having an affair. He kept this information to himself for a while and eventually faced her divorce. She's devastated and scared, and it's a pretty intense story. While going through the comments yesterday, I started seeing messages like, "Hey, there's her side of the story too." I thought that was interesting, and shout out to the person who emailed me earlier about this. I remember reading that email saying, "Hey, I found this story where the husband tells his side of the story, and it looks like this is the wife's side." I thought that was intriguing. I didn't check it out then, but I came across the story yesterday, and it clicked that this was the one being referred to. So, I figured why not continue with her perspective as well. Let's see what she has to say. The link will be in the description as usual. You know the title, it's an update to yesterday's story, so let's dive right in. She admits, "I ruined everything for nothing." She says she had to repost because they received nasty messages or something. She mentioned, "I got a lot of nasty messages in my original post, I guess I deserved that. I didn't want to, but my husband suggested I repost so others could learn from my mistakes. I won't use this account anymore apart from the private messages with a few people helping me edit." She also shared that she had private messages with her husband and learned he posted his side a few days ago. They've agreed to meet today. She vows to fight for her marriage for her children, even though she feels she has no right to. She refuses to give up, her heart won't let her. She admits to being broken but is determined to change. She's read all the comments and while painful, they've motivated her to get out of bed and face her reality. She doesn't know if she'll succeed, but she's willing to try. It turns out she didn't know her husband had posted his side of the story. That's quite something. I've seen stories like this before, sent to me via email. A man once wrote to me, and then his wife did too, with both sharing their sides on Reddit. Those stories were huge, and people would tell me, "Hey, this is on Reddit," or "You missed this part." It got mixed up. Sometimes, people said I left things out, but I hadn't. That's happened more than once. There was another story I did a while ago where someone said, "Hey, there's a woman's perspective." But for some reason, I never got around to that one. Anyway, it seems to happen quite often. Back to her story, she's devastated. "I have destroyed my family," she says. "My husband is leaving me, and my children don't even want to be around me. My sister suggested I post here for advice. It took everything to type this out. I've been crying for weeks. I've been lying to myself, trying to make myself look better in my story. How can there be hope when I can't even be honest with myself? I'm in a terrible state." She explains that she is a 38-year-old woman, her husband is 39, they have 4 children aged 15 to 8, and have been together since she was 16 and married for 18 years. She had an affair, and while it felt great at the time, she now knows it was a fantasy and is filled with shame. She cannot even look in the mirror and says everyone hates her, even her own sister, who was the only one to take her in. Interestingly, her sister is also a cheater, her fiancé left her over it. Her sister constantly berates her for her actions. She knew about the affair early on and warned her she was on a path of disaster, but she didn't listen. Now, she's cut out of her sister's life except to be yelled at. Her husband, meanwhile, has initiated divorce proceedings and hasn't spoken to her. She's been waiting for him to talk to her, but he hasn't shown up. She admits she can't blame him for being hurt, but she still hopes he might come back. She is suffering, barely eating, and experiencing panic attacks. Her heart feels like it's trying to escape her chest whenever it's quiet. A therapist told her that her emotional unraveling began around 3 years ago, after her best friend from school suddenly died of cancer. She admired her friend, who had a glamorous lifestyle as a law firm partner. Meanwhile, she had a decent career in marketing and spent long periods as a stay-at-home mom when their kids were younger. The time at home with her children was the happiest of her life, but her friend's death triggered a re-evaluation of her life and a deep dissatisfaction with what she hadn't done. She became very critical of herself, feeling inadequate, and started resenting her husband for what she felt she had missed out on, even though she had been the one to pursue marriage and a family. This irrational resentment built up over time. She explains how she began pushing her husband away and justifying it in her mind. Despite having a wonderful life by most measures, she convinced herself she deserved more. Around this time, her younger sister got engaged, which triggered jealousy in her. She became obsessed with the idea of infidelity and began fantasizing about it. Eventually, she started responding to flirtation from a younger, married coworker, which escalated into an emotional affair and then a physical one. The physical affair was a letdown, and the excitement quickly died off, but she kept it going, hoping to reignite that initial rush. She treated her husband horribly during this time, blaming him for her guilt and emotional turmoil. She notes that about 2 months into the affair, her husband's behavior changed. He stopped initiating intimacy, stopped doing little things to make her smile, and began withdrawing from her. He no longer engaged her in conversation, and she noticed he was slowly disconnecting from their relationship. The affair with her coworker deteriorated further, and after a few more weeks, she ended it and began attending therapy. Despite her attempts to reconnect with her husband by playing the perfect wife, he remained distant. Her guilt was overwhelming, but she was in denial, convinced he would come back to her if she kept trying. The truth finally came out when her husband confronted her, revealing he knew about the affair almost the entire time. He expressed his intention to divorce, making it clear he wanted to move on and start dating someone new. She was devastated and in shock, calling everyone to confess her actions, including the affair partner's wife, her own family, friends, and even resigning from her job. She feels completely lost, unsure how to face her children or if there is any way to repair the damage. Wow, my thoughts? It's incredibly selfish. She had everything she wanted but still thought she was missing out. She had a loving husband, a family, a great life, and yet, looking outside her marriage made her feel like she was missing something. This kind of thing happens all the time. She looked at others and thought, why can't I have that? That's how a lot of relationships get ruined, by comparing your life to others and thinking you're missing out. It's destructive. Guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'll catch you in the next one.